Hey guys and girls, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing off-road camper trailers and what to do before your big trip. I'm going to just run through what I check on my camper trailer before I go away on my big trips. All right, we'll have a look around, eh? All right guys, so I got the McHitch here, previous video. What I do is before I go on a trip, I check the nuts and bolts for the connection to the trailer to make sure they're still okay. I know last time you used it was fine. Doesn't hurt just to nip them up, have a look, give it a bit of a grease here in the greasing nipple. And also with a McHitch, you need to use a bit of dry glide. That helps with the movement in the hitch itself. So we'll give that a bit of a squirt, eh? Yep, that looks good to me. All right, next thing I check is my chains. I know, why would you check your chains for? Well, these things do wear out, you know, wear and tear and all the rest of it. So when I look at my chain, I have a good look at it, make sure there's no rust marks, no deterioration, no cracks in there. I check the shackle, make sure she's rated. She's a rated shackle. So I know that one's in good nick because I've had a look at that one. I check the other chain, make sure it's in good nick. Make sure the welds are all right here, all that sort of thing. Yep, that one's fine and dandy. Next thing I check is my power connections. Now I have two power connections. I have this one here. This one here is just for my solar. So that's all right. It's got a protective cover around it to protect from the stones and what have you. And then I have another one, which is my main power from my car to my camper. Now, the last time I was out, this come out. I know. That's why you check things for. And it destroyed the Anderson plug. So this was on the side of road repair. As you can see, it's a bit frayed here now. So it is susceptible to some damage. So obviously I've got to tape that up or do some protection around that before I go away on my big trip to Birdsville. And then next thing I check is my trailer connections. I know this one's from the car. So this works my lights on the car, on the camper I should say, and my brakes and all the rest of it. I check the pins, make sure the pins are still there. Generally look at the plug, make sure it's in good nick. It is, it just needs a bit of a clean. It's got a bit of dust and dirt on it from the trip. So that's all right. And then what I do next is I check this thing here. It's called the handbrake. I know it's not the wipe, it's the handbrake. Yes, it worked fine the last time you were out there, but still check it anyway. So what I do is grab it and whip it on. There we go, nice and tight. Give the trailer a bit of a push, make sure it's holding. Yep, that thing's holding. And the next thing I check is the little cables and the connections down here to your brakes. Make sure, you know, there's nothing loose or come away or anything like that, which works well. And then I've got my jockey wheel. So the jockey wheel goes up, goes down. I know that works fine because I've checked it before we started the video, believe it or not. So, yep, checked it up, goes down. Last but not least, your stone guard. I know, why would you check your stone guard? Stones hit these things, you know, and they get damaged. So just have a look at it, make sure it's still in good nick. If you've got one of these, you know, I don't know, material thing, or you've got a steel one, just have a good look at it. Make sure it's all right, ready to go. This one is. The mud flaps are still there. They've copped a bit of a caning. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check the dirty stuff. We're going to jump under and have a look underneath the camper and see if I need to do anything there before I go away on my next big trip. All right, guys, this is the dirty bit under the camper. So we're going to check a few things underneath here. A few obvious things. We're going to have a look at the suspension over here. What we'll do is just have a quick turn the camera in a little bit for you. This is the independent suspension, so that's really good fun. I check these chains here. That stops it from overextending and the spring popping out. And I've just noticed there, I used to have a wire around this D-shackle here, and that's gone. So obviously that's going to have to be replaced before I go away on my big trip. I check the shock absorbers here, make sure there's no oil leaks or anything like that. That's still fairly dry and dusty. Another thing I do when I'm under here is I normally nip up all the suspension bolts and the connection bolts. I use a torque wrench, so I know the torque settings on those because the manufacturer of the camper supplied me with them, so I just check them, make sure they're all right, because it'd be nothing worse than, you know, having that fall apart. Obviously, you know, check your bushes around your shockers. They seem to be okay at the moment. Spring's all right. Water tank's still there, so that's always a good start. Another thing I check under here is my handbrake cable here. Make sure that's in good nick because we checked it up the front. It's in good condition still. I check things like the connections, like the wiring and all the rest of it that's exposed underneath the camper here. It's all been wrapped up. When I bought the camper, I made sure that they had good protection around the wiring and things like that, because there's nothing worse than having exposed wires and pipes and things like that under here to let go when you're out on the tracks, which you don't want. So that's that bit done. What else can I look at? Oh, while we're under here, there's a few things I look at. I'll just pop over and have a look at these ones over here while I'm here. If you're ever not sure, just take a photo of underneath your trailer. So your bits. This one here, same thing. It's all been individually wrapped, nothing's exposed to stones. This has done a fair bit of outback travel, this camper, so she's taken a bit of a beating underneath. Last thing I'll check under here, I'm going to have to move the camera around a bit. Sorry about this, but it's going to be a bit bumpy and lumpy, is the wires to the electric brakes. I know, you just don't know about these things, so you've got to check them anyway, because they're there. If you don't check them, you've got no brakes. So let's have a look, eh? Ow. Got my head. There we go. That's my electric brake connection. Just check that. Oh, see, look at that. Just while I check these things. See the wires come out of the little cover, so I'll have to have a look at that. Fix that one up. And that's the dirty side done. So that's all pretty good. I installed those little mud flaps across the front of the camper today. Didn't come with it, which is kind of weird. They help protect underneath here. So that's the under bit done. We'll just check some lights. And that's basically almost my pre-check done. I've had the mechanic out here the other day and he's changed the wheel bearings, so I know the wheel bearings are in good condition. And I picked up some spares. All right, so we'll just check some lights and we'll go from there. All right, here we go. We'll go back the car up and check the lights. Check the trail lights now. Brake lights, babe. Yep, beautiful. Left-hand indicator. Yep, right-hand indicator. Good. Lights. Clearance lights are working. Awesome. It's almost all my checks done. Just going to check the tyres now, make sure they're in good nick. And that's the basic checks done for my trip. Now, look at those tyres, eh? All right. Again. All right, we're just going to have a look at the tyres now. I know it's pretty boring, they're just tyres. But at the end of the day, you still got to check them anyway. You just got to make sure the sidewalls are in good nick, make sure there's no bubbles or anything like that. The tread's in good nick. You've got to remember your trailer doesn't get used as much as your car, so, you know, tyres do get old and decrepit and all the rest of it and wear out. Check your rims, obviously, things like that. I check my wheel nuts, torque wrench again. If you over tighten these camper trailer tight wheels, some of them will snap the nuts off, which is not a good thing. I also run a tyre pressure monitoring system on my camper. Reason being is that you want to know what your tyre pressures are in your camper. There's nothing worse than belting down the road and shredding a tyre because you saved a few dollars on a tyre pressure monitoring system. So yeah, that's what I do. So I run that. All right, guys, that's really it. Really, it's all my basic look around my camper for my pre-checks before I go away. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll run you through another video of the other things I do to my camper, which is for another time. All right. See you next time, guys. Bye for now.